Apple is about to do something with the iPhone 18 Pro Max that could make buying an iPhone 16 Pro this year feel like a $1,200 mistake. Early leaks point to a major camera redesign, a new chipset focused on on-device AI, and a big change to the display that could push the price of the 18 Pro Max toward the $1,299 mark in the US. If you're sitting on an iPhone 13 Pro Max or 14 Pro Max and thinking about upgrading this year, the real question is not should I buy the 16 Pro Max anymore. It is can I afford to skip what the 18 Pro Max might bring? Because what is changing here is not just speed or a slightly better camera. The leaks suggest a shift in how Apple wants you to use your phone for the next 5 to 7 years, especially for AI, photography, and professional workflows. And this is where it gets very interesting for your wallet. Let us break down what we know, what is likely, and whether it is a smart financial move to wait for the 18 Pro Max or buy now. First, the chip. The iPhone 16 Pro Max is expected to launch with something like an A18 Pro chip. For the iPhone 18 Pro Max, the roadmap points to an even more advanced 2-nanometer processor, which means better performance and lower power use at the same time. In real-world terms, that could mean video exports that finish 30 to 40% faster than even the 16 Pro Max, and big AI tasks, like live transcription, image generation, and background removal, happening locally instead of relying on the cloud. If you do content creation or heavy multitasking, that is not just a spec bump. That is time back in your day and a longer performance life for your investment. But that is not the biggest change. The camera system on the iPhone 18 Pro Max is rumored to get a serious overhaul. Right now, Apple is pushing periscope zoom and better low light, but leaks suggest Apple is testing a much larger main sensor and improved multi-lens stabilization for the 18 series. Practically, that could mean cleaner 4K footage at night, less motion blur when you shoot kids, sports, or travel, and far more usable zoom without that watercolor look. If you compare that to something like the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra or whatever Google names its Pixel flagship at that time, this will be the battle line. Samsung will push insane zoom. Google will push computational photography and AI editing. Apple appears to be lining up sensor hardware plus on-device AI to meet both in the middle. For buyers, that matters more than it sounds. Right now, on an iPhone 14 Pro Max, shooting and editing a 10-minute 4K vlog with color correction can feel slow and hot. The 18 Pro Max is being positioned as the device that handles that workload without breaking a sweat for years. And that is where long-term value really kicks in. Here is a question you need to ask yourself right now. Are you upgrading for something you can feel every single day, or are you upgrading because your current phone just feels old? If your answer is, it just feels old, these next few changes are what you should really care about. Battery and thermals. A more efficient 2-nanometer chip, plus rumored battery density improvements, could give the 18 Pro Max an extra 1 to 2 hours of heavy screen-on time compared to a 16 Pro Max, and 3 to 4 hours over an iPhone 13 Pro Max. Think 8 hours of mixed heavy use instead of 5 or 6. For travel, remote work, and gaming sessions, that is the difference between charging at 4 p.m. and making it a bedtime. And because lower heat means less battery wear over time, your phone could still feel day one strong 3 or even 4 years in. Most buyers never factor this into their buying decision, but they should. If a phone holds strong battery and performance for an extra 2 years, that can save you from an early upgrade, which is often a $1,000 plus decision. Now, let's talk display because this is a big one for the 18 Pro Max. Apple is already pushing brighter panels, but leaks suggest the 18 Pro Max may move to an even more power-efficient OLED, possibly flirting with micro-lens array tech or next-gen LTPO. For you, that could mean higher sustained brightness outdoors and smoother 120Hz performance without the usual battery hit. Think 500 plus nits peak brightness, where using the phone in harsh sunlight finally stops being a fight. Here is where things get very interesting for creators and professionals. Between the chip, camera, and display, Apple is clearly aiming E18 Pro Max at people who edit video, manage complex workflows, or depend on their phone to run a business. Pair that with the likely continued expansion of Apple's own AI features, things like on-device summarization, smart reply, live language translation, and generative tools inside Photos and Final Cut. And you're looking at a device meant to be a portable production and productivity machine. And this is where competitors like the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra and Google Pixel 10 Pro will push back hard. Samsung will position itself as the ultimate note-taking and multitasking productivity phone. Google will lean heavily into AI tools for photos, video, and text. If you're deciding between these, your choice becomes a long-term ecosystem investment, not just a camera or screen comparison. By the way, most people upgrading right now are making a $400 mistake. They jump from, say, an iPhone 14 Pro Max to the 15 or 16 Pro Max for small upgrades, then feel forced to upgrade again when the real generational leap hits. That double upgrade cycle can quietly cost you $400 to $600 more over a 5-year period compared to waiting for the big shift and holding that device longer. So what about price? Based on Apple's current structure, an iPhone 18 Pro Max with 256 gigabytes could easily start around $1,299 in the US, with a 512 gigabytes model sitting closer to $1,499. If Apple introduces more advanced camera hardware and next-gen silicon, do not be surprised if the top-tier 1 terabyte model approaches $1,699. On paper, that sounds steep, but spread over 5 years of use, that $1,299 base model works out to roughly $21 to $22 per month for what is effectively your camera, computer, and entertainment device combined. If you're coming from something like a Galaxy S23 Ultra, Pixel 8 Pro, or iPhone 13 Pro Max, your decision should not just be which is cheaper right now. It should be which gives me the longest runway before my next big spend. Because a $150 cheaper phone that forces you to upgrade 1 year earlier is not a smart investment. Now, there's one detail almost nobody is talking about: storage and RAM. To support serious on-device AI and pro workflows, it is very likely Apple will continue increasing RAM on the 18 Pro Max. Think 12 gigabytes or more, and may consider a 256 gigabytes default for the Pro Max line. Why does that matter? Because if you're a creator shooting 4K/60 or ProRes, or a gamer installing large titles like Genshin Impact or Call of Duty Mobile, base storage is not just a convenience. It is protection against having to constantly micromanage your device or pay iCloud every month just to keep things running. Over 3 to 5 years, a higher storage model can actually be a more efficient financial choice than stacking cloud storage plus mid-cycle upgrades. And here is the part that surprised a lot of analysts. As Apple leans harder into AI, we are likely going to see more tasks that used to require a laptop move entirely to the phone. That could mean heavier multi-layer timeline editing in mobile apps, AI-assisted document generation, advanced photo compositing, and more. If the 18 Pro Max is the first iPhone truly designed around that kind of workload, the real competition is not just Samsung or Google. It is your MacBook, your iPad, and even your Windows laptop from Dell, HP, or Microsoft. So should you wait? Or should you buy now? Before we answer that, we need to talk about gaming performance, because that is where raw hardware differences show up fastest. With a 2-nanometer chip and upgraded GPU, the iPhone 18 Pro Max could deliver 20 to 30% higher sustained frame rates in demanding titles compared to the A18 generation, and up to 50% over something like the iPhone 14 Pro Max. In real use, that is the difference between hovering around 50 to 60 frames per second at high settings versus dipping into the 30s after 10 to 15 minutes due to thermal throttling. If you're into Apple Arcade, Call of Duty, Genshin, or future AAA ports, that stability matters far more than a one-time benchmark. It means no stuttering during a ranked match and no hot, uncomfortable phone in your hand. For long-term ownership, gaming performance is like a stress test for everything else. If a phone can handle heavy gaming for years, it will crush day-to-day tasks for even longer. Now we are approaching the core financial decision. If you're using an iPhone 12 or older, your phone is already missing several modern features. Better cameras, real life, USB-C, and likely some new AI features by the time the 18 Pro Max launches. Waiting another full cycle might mean living with pain points that slow you down every day. That is a real cost too. But if you own an iPhone 13 Pro Max, 14 Pro Max, or even 15 Pro Max, here is the hard truth. You are in a sweet spot where your device can likely carry you until the 18 Pro Max without hurting your productivity or daily experience. And avoiding an in-between upgrade may save you well over $1,000 across the next few years. Think about it this way. If you buy a $1,199 iPhone 16 Pro Max now, and then feel tempted by the 18 Pro Max in 2 years, even with resale, you will probably burn an extra $400 to $600 versus holding your current device and jumping straight to the bigger leap. For most buyers, that money is better used bumping storage, buying Apple Care Plus, or investing in accessories that actually improve your daily workflow, like good MagSafe batteries, stands, or wireless audio. So, who should actually plan on buying the iPhone 18 Pro Max? Casual users first. If you mainly text, browse, use social apps, and take simple photos, you do not need to chase the 18 Pro Max. If you have an iPhone 13 or newer, you're safe to skip at least one or even 2 more generations and focus on value models or carrier deals when your battery life becomes an issue. For power users, heavy multitaskers, email warriors, people with dozens of apps running, this is where the 18 Pro Max starts to make sense. The combination of a new chip, likely more RAM, stronger 5G and Wi-Fi, and better thermals means smoother performance for longer. If you're on a 13 Pro Max or 14 Pro Max, it is a good idea to hold off upgrades now and target the 18 Pro Max as your next major purchase. Professionals and business users should see the 18 Pro Max as a long-term asset. If you rely on your phone for client calls, calendar, deals, and documents, the extra stability and AI-powered features could pay you back in time saved. For you, skipping intermediate models and buying every 4 to 5 years, with something like the 18 Pro Max as your anchor device, is a smart investment strategy. Creators, especially mobile-first ones, are the group that will benefit the most. If you film, edit, and upload from your phone, the rumored camera upgrades, brighter and more accurate screen, and faster chip are exactly the features that extend the life of your setup. If you can't ride out your current iPhone 13 Pro Max, 14 Pro Max, or even 15 Pro Max, and prepare to go all in on the 18 Pro Max with higher storage. Gamers should pay close attention to this generation. The likely 2nm chip, better thermals, and smoother display will give you more stable frame rates and less heat over longer sessions. If mobile gaming is your main hobby, skipping the 16 Pro Max and saving for the 18 Pro Max is a better use of your money. Upgraders from 2-year-old devices. So, people on iPhone 14 series by the time the 18 Pro Max lands will be in the ideal position. You will see clear, visible upgrades in camera quality, battery endurance, AI features, and performance benchmarks that actually change how your phone feels. That is the best upgrade value window. Upgraders from the current generation, when the 18 Pro Max launches, should think carefully. If you buy the 16 Pro Max and then consider moving again to the 18 Pro Max, that is almost never a smart financial move unless your income depends directly on having the latest possible hardware. And finally, who should skip the iPhone 18 Pro Max entirely? If you are price sensitive, do not care about pro-level camera features, and mainly use light apps, future base or plus models will likely offer better value per dollar. Also, if you are deep into Android and rely on Samsung DeX, Google's unique AI tools, or specific Microsoft integrations, switching ecosystems just for the 18 Pro Max may not deliver a strong return on investment. So here is the clear verdict. If you're on an iPhone 12 or older and your phone is struggling, it makes sense to upgrade sooner, either to a 16 Pro Max or a discounted 15 Pro Max, instead of waiting and suffering for another full cycle. If you're on an iPhone 13 Pro Max, 14 Pro Max, or 15 Pro Max, the smartest move is to hold your cash, skip small yearly gains, and target the iPhone 18 Pro Max as your next major, long-term upgrade. If you're a professional, creator, or serious gamer planning to invest around $1,299 or more, the 18 Pro Max is shaping up to be the first iPhone designed to comfortably handle heavy AI, camera, and gaming workloads for 5 years or longer. That kind of lifespan is what turns a big purchase into a smart investment. And if you are still weighing this against what Samsung and Google will offer in that same window, the next wave of leaks on those devices could completely change how this comparison looks. We will break that down in detail as soon as those pieces fall into place.